Hello friends and welcome to the new session of Pharmaceutical Chemistry 1 with the topic Gastrointestinal Agents. Part 1. I am Mrs. Sandhya Lanke, Faculty Shri Jain Vidya Prasarak Mandal, Rasikla M. Dhariwal College of Pharmacy, Pune. Let us discuss the learning outcomes. After watching this video, you will be able to define gastrointestinal agents. You will be able to explain gastrointestinal disturbances and you will be able to classify gastrointestinal agents. Before moving to the actual topic, let us discuss what happens actually in the gastrointestinal system. So, when any person ingests something from the mouth, it passes through the esophagus into the stomach. Via stomach, it enters into the intestine. First of all, it goes to the small intestine where maximum absorption of that particular ingested matter takes place, and then through the large intestine, whatever the contents are regarded as waste, those are getting thrown out of the large intestine. So this is the system of gastrointestinal. Now let us discuss the definition of gastrointestinal agents. These are the drugs which are used to treat gastrointestinal disorders like chlorhydria, hyperacidity, constipation and diarrhea. So whenever there is any disturbance or discomfort in the gastrointestinal system, the agents which are used to treat those discomforts or those disturbances are called as gastrointestinal agents. Now, one by one, let us discuss all the gastrointestinal disturbances. Chlorhydria. If due to some reasons there is no secretion or decreased secretion of hydrochloric acid in gastric secretion or juices, the condition is called as chlorhydria, also called by the name hypochlorhydria. So, whenever there is less secretion of HCl in the GI tract, this condition is known as chlorhydria. Then is the hyperchlorhydria or hyperacidity. Hyper means increased level of chlorhydria is nothing but the acid level. So, whenever excess secretion of acid takes place in the stomach, this causes the imbalance in acid enzyme ratio and it leads to hyperacidity and further it leads to ulcers. So, there may occur accumulation of toxic substances or gases in the stomach because of increased level of hydrochloric acid in the stomach. So, this is the second gastrointestinal disturbance. Next one is the constipation. It occurs due to insufficient gastrointestinal motility or peristalsis. Now, what is this peristalsis? It is nothing but the contraction and relaxation of gastrointestinal smooth muscles. See in the image, you can see how the muscles are going to be contract and relax. So, because of insufficient, inadequate gastrointestinal motility, constipation may take place. In this, the bowel movements that are infrequent or hard to pass, whatever the waste metabolic contents are there, it is not regularly passed, and if it is passed, it is difficult. The stool is often hard and dry, and some other symptoms are also observed that includes abdominal pain, bloating and even bleeding also, that may further leads to hemorrhoids. So this is nothing but the constipation. Then is the dysentery and diarrhea. It is an intestinal inflammation primary because due to the colon. It can lead to mild or severe stomach cramps and severe diarrhea with mucus or blood in the feces. Dysentery and diarrhea, these are correlated. Dysentery is nothing but just because of some of the infection in the gastrointestinal tract, there is watery fluid is getting excreted. And in diarrhea, if a person goes for more than 3 times for passage of the stool, it is nothing but the diarrhea. Obviously, it is a watery fluid. Then the accumulation of toxin, gases or insufficient absorption of fluid or electrolytes in the intestine stimulates intestinal motility, which leads to frequent stool or diarrhea. Exactly opposite to that of constipation. In constipation, the gastrointestinal motility is going to be reduced. But here, because of accumulation of toxic substances or gases or some of the fluid or electrolytes in the intestine, it increases the intestinal motility. The contraction and relaxation of the gastrointestinal smooth muscles will get increased, and because of that it will lead to frequent passage of stool, that is nothing but the diarrhea. So friends, these all are the gastrointestinal disturbances, and accordingly the gastrointestinal agents are classified. The first class of gastrointestinal agent is products for altering gastric pH, also called by the name gastric acidifier or acidifying agents. Obviously, these are used in hypochlorhydria, nothing but a chlorhydria. Antacids, these are mainly used in hyperacidity. Protectives for intestinal inflammation and adsorbents for intestinal toxins, these are used in dysentery and diarrhea. And last one, cathartics or laxatives, these are used for constipation. Now one by one, let us have an introduction to these classes. The first one, acidifying agents. The agents which are used to treat achlorhydria or hypochlorhydria are called as acidifying agents. These are the products used for altering gastric pH, and that's why they are called as gastric acidifier also. Now, because of less secretion of hydrochloric acid in the stomach, there are chances of change in the pH. So, some agents are used to alter the gastric pH also, and that's why these acidifying agents are also called by the name gastric acidifier. Example, dilute hydrochloric acid. The second class of gastrointestinal agents is the antacids. These agents which are used to treat hyperchlorhydria or hyperacidity are called as antacids. Now these antacids, how they are acting? They neutralizes the excess secretion of hydrochloric acid in the stomach and lowers the acidity of gastric contents. For example, sodium bicarbonate, aluminum hydroxide, calcium carbonate, magnesium carbonate, etc. So many drugs are there which acts as an antacid. Then the third class of gastrointestinal agents are the protectives for intestinal inflammation. These are the chemical agents which are used internally in treatment of disturbances of gastrointestinal tract like diarrhea and dysentery. They form a protective coat on the mucosal membrane and provide mechanical protection. So this is the actual mechanism of this protective. They are just going to protect the mucous membrane of gastrointestinal tract from the various substances which may cause infection or inflammation to the gastrointestinal mucous membrane. Examples are bismuth subcarbonate, bismuth subnitrite, and kaolin. Then the next one are adsorbents for intestinal toxins. These are again the chemical agents that adsorb bacterial toxins which stimulate flow of electrolytes into intestine and results in watery stool. So these adsorbents, as name indicate, they adsorb the bacterial toxins on their surface. It is again a physical phenomena, and because of which there is stimulation of flow of electrolytes into the intestine, and it results in secretion of the watery stool. So these agents are going to adsorb those toxins, and because of which the whatever gastrointestinal disturbance is there, it is going to be prevented. Example, bismuth subcarbonate and bismuth subnitrate. The last class of gastrointestinal agents are the saline cathartics. These are the agents that loosen stools to increase bowel movement. For easy passage of the stool, these agents are acting. They are used to treat and prevent constipation. These agents are used to promote defecation or to relieve constipation. Various examples includes isabgol, liquid paraffin, castor oil, rhubarb, and sodium potassium tartarate. So this is about the different gastrointestinal agents. Thank you for watching this video.